Hello teacups, what's brewing? So recently I asked in a React, would you like to see inside a British supermarket? Excuse the noise, I'm actually sitting at a Starbucks right now. I've just come out the gym and my gym is close to my supermarket, so I thought I'd just take you around. I was going to do the intro inside where it'd be quieter, but between the blender and the copyright music I was like So I'm going to finish up my vanilla latte. I've got an almond milk and blonde roast. It's my standard. And we're going to head into probably Sainsbury's. And I also have an Aldi near here as well. So I might go into both. I did actually try and film this yesterday because Thursday is the day that Aldi switches over their special pies in the centre of the store, but I got there and they were still loading them up and it was a bit of a mess, and I was like, yeah, I'll try it again tomorrow because I was coming back to the gym today. But that's why my face is my face today, because I've been in the gym. And for those people who requested it, I hope you find it interesting. Let's get started. Okay, I'm trying my best to keep other people out of frame, but there's only so much I can do because it's a supermarket. So I think you do have Aldi in the US, but basically in the centre of Aldi there's a mixed stock aisle that comes in just as it comes in. They change it up every week and there's no guarantee what's in it and there's no guarantee what will come back into it, you know, so they tend to theme it. The other week they had like garden lawn furniture and stuff, so it changes on Thursday. That was yesterday. I'm just going to have a look what's there today. It seems like they're staying with the garden theme. I'm really sad because stuff like this I need for my garden in Saudi, but I can't pack all this, you know, and it's so much cheaper than buying it from Amazon or from anywhere when I go back. That it makes me really sad. Like they've got here, got some garden cushions and some really nice like lights and things. I would really like to have this in my garden back home, but it just doesn't happen. Just some really cute, like, well, pigs would not be allowed in Saudi, but some really nice like planters and these kind of lantern things. These are so cute, and you know, they're not expensive, so it gets me exactly how expensive things in Saudi are, because you're always paying a ridiculous price, and then most of the stuff is imported as well, so there's not a lot you can do about it. It's just an expensive country, but man, I wish we had an Aldi. See, just a little glass table just like this, lovely. And do you know how expensive these are in Saudi? I was trying to get lawn furniture right before I left, because I had this idea I was just going to clean up the outside and use it a bit more, because I've got like a patio area in front of my apartment. So I just wanted like a table and chairs and maybe a little bit of probably fake plants, because I tend to kill most things I touch and the heat is just too much for real plants, but just something to make it nicer. And I was going to have to pay over £100 for a table and chair set, and like that table is £12.99. I was like, come on. I also like this, is really cute. I wanted to buy it for my niece, but unfortunately they're moving soon, so we don't want to add any more for the move because she's actually moving countries, but such a cute thing. They've got a ton of like rattan furniture, hanging baskets, and like I say, all pretty good prices really, considering these are just like pet toys and then kid toys, not to get them confused. I think this is adorable, you guys. More stuff I'd just like to throw around my classroom if I had a chance. And some bean bags. This is new this week. It's like a house for kids that they can colour in. Just little things, just cute things you wouldn't expect but end up being really cute. So these have been here for about a week and a half. I guess they had a lot of stock, but some really nice sort of illustrated copies of the Harry Potter books, and some kids' baby toys and things. So they did have here a little while ago like a little sewing haberdashery section, and I got some just sewing kits and denim patches and things that were awesome. So this is just the theme for today. Apparently it's a bit of a mess, but it always is. And then we go into, like, that's for a baby as they're growing. You can get them to hold it every school year, I guess, which is also really adorable.
Store assistant
and just clothing and stuff.
7, please.
So it doesn't look like there's anything I'm going to take home today, but like I say, I just always check in, because once they're gone, so it's always worth a look. You can
Store
really save
required
a lot of money.
7, please.
Wow. It's a little bit busy in here today, so I guess they've got a lot of announcements going on. So yeah, it's just always worth a look. I'm just going to show you as well This is just, I'm going on things that may be a little different from America. I was speaking to my Canadian friend, well, America, other places. Sorry, not to be America-centric. I was speaking to my Canadian friend. She likes gin, yeah? And I was telling her about all the flavours that you could get here. And she was really surprised. Like, it's difficult to get flavours where she is. And I don't know if it's like a continent-wide thing or if it's just a thing where we get it in Britain, we don't in America. I'm going to talk about a few groceries that are a little different here as well. But here we get a ton of flavoured gins. One sec. I'm just in the booze section. But if we come up to here, Aldi particularly have some really nice ones. If you go up here, we've got like pink grapefruit and rose, and bramble gin, mango passion fruit, pink grapefruit and orange. This one is lovely. My stepmom got that one recently and we enjoyed it very much. So there's lots of different kinds. Sorry, just had to cut off because I didn't want someone else's face in it. I generally don't drink very much, but because it's completely banned in Saudi, I decided I was going to a little while I was here. I got a really lovely rhubarb and ginger one from Sainsbury's last time I was here, and really delicious. So I've still actually got that at home, so I can enjoy that. But apparently, like, the range of flavours and the variety we have just isn't as common. So if that's the case for you, let me know. I don't know if it's just, I don't want to say European because Britain isn't really European, but I don't know if it's just things that are different across the sea. I wanted to show you the cheese section because you get much more of a kind of European selection here, because the reason they're a discount supermarket is usually because they import things cheap into the EU. And one of the things about from the EU, I should say, and one of the things about us leaving the EU is for a while there was a sign up saying, hey, if you see that we don't have as much stock in at the moment, it's just while we handle the transition. So it makes me wonder what's going to happen with Aldi and its major competitor Lidl, which is the same kind of deal. They get cheaper stuff in from the EU. Like, what's going to happen with their prices and how they present themselves now, because I imagine it's not going to be as cheap for them to import anymore. So it's an interesting question, I don't know, but that's where you get a variety of things you don't usually get. You get them a lot cheaper in here, and actually things that can be quite expensive and hard to find in terms of deli items particularly, you find really cheap in Aldi. Something else about Aldi is that it's really well known as kind of a dupe store, so they do their own discount versions of the brand things. So for example, right now they've got a special on these. These are usually £4 a box, and they've got them for £2.59 here. So that's one of the special buys. It's not normal for the shop. Here, this is their brand, like their dupe of it, and then it's £1.99. So again, a better deal. So, and they are exactly the same. They taste just as good. Like, they have some really good dupes in the store. You see it particularly with, if you start looking at kind of like the chocolates and the snacks and things, where there's like dupe Kit Kats and stuff like that. I'll see if I can maybe show you, but it's a little bit busy. I just went to the last aisle to check to be able to show you kind of the dupes, but there is a queue going from the one checkout all the way up that aisle, and I was like, okay then, okay, we'll give that a break. But yeah, they're known for their dupes, and their dupes are good. You know, for the price difference, like, I would say go for it. Sorry, I just wanted to show you the flowers they sell outside the store as well. And I'm, again, insanely jealous because fresh flowers and things like that, they don't last easily in Saudi, so you don't get that much choice and they're all expensive. And I just wish I could take it all back. So we've just come into the clothing section because I took the back entrance in, and so this is kind of their home and stuff, all their homeware, all their clothing, shoes, kids' clothes, that kind of thing. Sorry, just want to try not get too many people on camera. Okay, there's no one in this aisle. So just shoes, clothes, that kind of thing. Well, the Sainsbury's here is larger than a lot of them. It's not a lot of them, but it's a superstore. So it has more selection, but given that this was a talking point with the Farm Boy stuff, even in smaller stores it's usual to have like toiletries and home goods as well. Not necessarily as many as here, not like dishes and plates and things, but general kind of home stuff. I understand that Farm Boy is more of a specialty store though, so they are apparently just groceries. But I was trying to think of an equivalent store that would do that, and I suppose M&S Food, but that's kind of fancy schmancy. It's not one of the major supermarkets. The thing with the supermarkets is there's so much competition, especially between like the big four, that their point is to offer as much as they can to get people in. So it's quite rare. It's more specialty places, but I guess Farm Boy is a specialty place. So I actually just remembered I need the can opener, so that was fortunate. But there's all kind of kitchen things and stuff like that. So it's currently a long weekend. Friday and Monday are both bank holidays, so it's a little bit busy in here, which is making it difficult to keep people off camera. If you catch a glimpse of somebody, apologies, I'm trying my best. So I'm going to go through this location. Is currently doing a bit of reconstruction inside and redecorating, so they're widening up aisles, they're just refreshing the whole place. So there's a couple of places that are kind of out of order or missing stock or things like that while they rearrange. So that's what you're seeing. They also, in terms of kind of COVID stuff, obviously I'm wearing a mask, they've got stuff on the floor saying keep a safe distance, and they've got some one-way stuff on the aisles, telling you, especially with the booze aisles, the places people tend to congregate, telling you, okay, this is one way, you can go in this way, go out that way, to try and avoid people crossing. It doesn't always work, they're not really enforcing it, but it's there. This is the new area they put into store, where they widened up these aisles. They completely changed these units that were holding all the products are now arranged by brand, and it's just lighter and nicer, and it's nice to have. It's easier to walk around and see everything, and I'm enjoying it a lot. I mean, obviously I'm a makeup girl, I like it, but yeah, so you've got a lot. This is kind of the stuff you see more in superstores than in regular ones, but you will usually have a selection of at least kind of toiletries, you know, but this has got a bit of a larger one. You can see they're just working on the freezer aisles right now, so there's one or two aisles that are actually empty, but you go up here and then you've got all kind of the terms of counters and things. Like I'm in an aisle right now, so it's like the tea and coffee, but usually we have a kind of bakery patisserie. There's a hot counter that sells like hot meats, like rotisserie chickens, and usually a selection of like chicken wings, legs, sometimes, occasionally like pork, like a roast pork or a ham hock, that kind of thing. But it's not a massive part, and at the moment half of their counter is down because of this rearranging, so there's only a small selection on, but kind of rotisserie chicken counter, that kind of thing. And this one also has a pizza place. So here you can see the kind of baked in store stuff, the cookies, the pastries, that kind of thing, and things you select. And then the cool counter and bread rolls and things, so it's all down here. But in the actual aisles you also see, to turn around my camera, but there was just too many people, but you also see the usual kind of branded bread that gets bought into store from stockists. I'm just going to move down to probably the fresh section, and you can see some things. This is what they do for pizzas. They can make them in store. This is the hot counter. It doesn't have much in it at the moment. And then you go on to kind of cold deli meats and things. Usually in most big stores there will be a fresh deli that sells kind of meats, olives, pickles, and there'll be a fresh fish where they can I was going to say carve fish, that's not what I mean. You can buy fresh fish and they can either fillet it or you can buy it whole or what have you. Sainsbury's seems to have taken that out at the moment. I don't know if it's because they're moving things around or if they're going to like reinstate it when the worst of it's done, because that involves actual like refrigerated counters, which I'm guessing they don't have in at the moment. But I don't know if that's going to be a permanent change or not, but it's very normal to have it here. I remember being a kid, I was just obsessed with the fish counter. I used to run up to go look at it, and my mum would be like, where is she? Oh, I know where she is. They were stocking, so I didn't want to get the girls doing their job on camera, but something that's really kind of expanded as a grocery section recently has been veganism and vegan food, and kind of free from foods have been having a boost for the last few years. For the past year or two, there's been a ton of new plant-based options, and that was what I was showing you there. Like that whole section was all vegan food. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about, if I can find it, halloumi. a little bit ago I was talking with my American friend, and she said, what should I have for breakfast? And I went, oh, have some halloumi. And she was like, what's that? And again, halloumi is something that's super common in the UK. It's often used as a vegetarian substitute when you're making meals. It's not a meat substitute, but if you go to a restaurant and you've got a vegetarian option, halloumi is a common one. Yeah. And so it was recommended when I was right out of surgery and I couldn't get very much food in. It was recommended as a food because it was easier on the stomach, because it was softer. Because when you have surgery, you go from like liquids that can pass through a fork to mushy, to soft foods, to hard proteins. And dense proteins were a bit too much for my stomach. And I was recommended to try halloumi because, whoops, I'm gonna drop that. Halloumi was softer to eat, but it's a cheese that you cook. It's a grilling cheese. So you can put it on skewers. I mostly just cook it in a pan and turn it over. But it has the protein amounts kind of on par with meat. So for this one, for example, let me find it. So the protein is 21.6 grams and carbohydrates are less than a gram. So it has the low carb that you would expect of cheese, but it has the protein profile of meat. So it's a really good substitute if you're looking for something higher protein and you can't have meat for whatever reason. I could eat meat post-surgery, but when I was just learning to eat again, it was quite difficult because just learning to eat again was difficult, and that was easier to get down. But I really like halloumi. It's quite salty, but I like sliced halloumi cooked, topped with an egg, like a spoon of salsa. I find a really nice, like, filling breakfast. And she had no idea what I was talking about. Like, if you go to sort of specialty cheese shops, apparently you can get it, but it's just not a common thing, and it's so prolific throughout the UK. It's funny, the things that kind of everyone knows and then the things that never make it over. So I would recommend halloumi if you're looking for a non-meat protein. It's really delicious. It's another example of the vegetarian stuff. Vegetarian sausages. Linda McCartney's a really popular brand for vegetarian stuff in the UK. But this Beyond Burger is a new one, Beyond Meat. I think I've heard it from American and Canadians as well. So has Chantal eaten that? Is that fast food one, right? At some point she was at Burger King or another Wendy's maybe, and they have like a Beyond Meat burger. So I think it's the same stuff, and it's just now a global brand. But yeah, there's a ton of choices for vegan eaters that weren't there even a few years ago. Something else that has changed, probably in the year that I've been gone, year and a half I was gone even, there's now in stores, like there's been a big drive to reduce the amount of plastic used in stores. And although some things are still packaged in plastic, what they're doing now is they're selling you these reusable produce bags and then saying, okay, put your loose produce into that if it's not already bagged up. And they've made a lot of their products loose for that reason. You get some things like this that are still packaged up. You get some things in nets and stuff. But then for most things, you just have the reusable bags that you buy, and then you can just come and weigh your own right here, and it prints you out a label. But when I first moved to China, so in China, you don't weigh your own produce. There's a counter, and it's a manned counter, and you go and you give it to somebody and they do it. And it's little changes like that when I'm traveling. I'm like, oh, really? And it was like in China and in Indonesia as well, when I used to go to the wet market to get meat and fresh produce. It's one of the differences that I have to look out for whenever I move, because it can be so different in different countries. And I remember just wandering around like, what do I do with this for a while, because it was a weirdly shaped store, and so I couldn't see the person who was supposed to weigh it, and obviously I couldn't speak Mandarin. So I arrived, I was like, I don't know what to do and I don't know who to ask, you know. So I ended up just looking around and watching people for a bit, and then I was like, oh, that's where they're going. I just kind of followed somebody, trying not to look like a stalker, to be like, where are they taking their produce? Because I thought maybe you could go to the checkout with it, but I went to the checkout just to show it, because I wasn't getting a big shot that day. I was just trying to get some apples, I think it was. And they turned me away, and I was like, if I can't pay for it, what am I supposed to do? And it's because you needed a label, and they're trying to explain it, and it just we got there eventually. But yeah, you have to kind of weigh and print your own labels here, but in some countries you can't do that. Thing that's kind of been ongoing, so these are courgettes, for example, but they're imperfectly ranged, and you see how massive these are. So there's a few different ways to look at it. With Asda doing a wonky veg box. So what that means, basically, under EU rules, there were very narrow categories for fruits and vegetables. So if you had a crop of, I don't know, cauliflower that was slightly too yellow, farmers couldn't sell it. It was going to waste because it didn't meet the requirements for being sold in store. Just because it was the color wasn't quite right, or maybe if you buy a carrot and it's all wonky instead of straight and things like that. So to try and reduce food wastage, Asda started a wonky veg box that you got for cheaper because it was kind of misshapen or whatever. And a lot of the supermarkets have followed suit, saying, you know, let's reduce wastage. Let's say, okay, you can have this one. It looks less perfect, but it's still exactly the same. So a lot of the stores' own like value ranges for the lower budgets will now include things like the wonky veg, just to kind of help people out. Like, well, not help people out, they're making money on it, they're a business, but to allow lower budgets to have more access and to just stop wasting food. I mean, how ridiculous. It's a little bit bent so we can't sell it even though it's perfectly good, because so much food is and continues to be lost for no good reason. What are the rules in buying alcohol in other places? Because I know, like, here, if the store has a license, you can sell alcohol in a supermarket, but obviously you still have to be above a certain age to buy it. But after a certain time, they can't sell it, like the tills won't process it. And on Sundays, like, they pull down covers over the alcohol section because they're not allowed to sell it on Sundays. In Sweden, I remember when I lived there, you had to go to the Systembolaget, which was like a state-owned, I think it was state-owned, alcohol shop, and you couldn't get it in supermarkets, though sometimes the Systembolaget was attached to kind of a big store, but it was just something you couldn't do within the store itself. So it makes me wonder, like, with America, do you have to go to a liquor store for everything, or can you buy wine in a grocery store and just do liquor, like hard liquors, in other stores? Like, how does it work? Because here you can get it all in the supermarket, obviously with ID and stuff. And that's actually one of the reasons when they did the big move around here, they made these aisles more visible to the tills to try and stop theft. So it's right in the middle and it's quite open now. So you can see here, like, we have wines and rosés, beers, and then you go on to some of sort of the bigger, the harder liquors, I should say. And then we have the under 25 rule. So this is just, oh yeah, this is finished. So you have a few, look how cute this is. But you have a few like gift sets and things, but it's totally okay to buy with your shopping. And I just wondered if that was the case abroad. Last thing before I go, you know how you have water enhancers in the US? We have squash, and it's hard to explain, but basically you put a little bit into the bottom of a cup and then you add water and it makes squash. So it's a bit like a water enhancer, but it's not quite the same thing. It looks like this. Usually when I lived in America, they would have these packs of concentrate frozen, and so you would add water to that and it would make like orange juice. This doesn't. This is a different drink. So you add, you just put a bit in the bottom of a glass and you add water to it, and it makes, we just call it squash. But it's a little bit different than actual fruit concentrate, so it's kind of hard to explain. But it works the same way that, you know, those drops you put into water, the water enhancers, it's the same kind of thing. You wouldn't call that juice, yeah? So similar thing. Just remembered I was thinking about maybe getting some crumpets for breakfast, so I'm just going to head back to the bakery. But I've just remembered something my American friends have always found strange is in the UK we don't refrigerate our eggs in store, because generally our temperature doesn't get to the point where it's necessary, because we don't tend to have extremes of temperature, you know. I mean, I remember being in China and for a bit having to stop buying eggs because it got so hot. I'd open them up and they'd be like adhered to the side of the eggshell, and it was just pretty gross. But here we don't sell them refrigerated for most parts. I keep them in the refrigerator in like Saudi, obviously, and they're refrigerated in Saudi, but here not so much. And when we get them home, I keep mine in the fridge at home just because it's convenient. But like my granddad used to have like a crockery hen, and it was filled with eggs, because when we were kids we used to run to it, and occasionally he would hide a Kinder egg in there, and so we'd always go and check the hen when we got to his house. When you go to get eggs, you usually see kind of just on the shelf like this, and then you can pick what you want. I don't need any today, but I just thought I'd show you because it is generally a difference I see. You just pick up a carton, check it's not broken to bits, as they usually are. Different countries have different rules. I realize in China you used to just get these huge like piles of loose eggs, and they give you a plastic bag, a hope, a prayer, and you just pick what you wanted, weigh them because they were sold by weight, and then you'd have to get them home in this plastic bag just hoping for the best. Oh, the amount of eggs I have sacrificed to the god of groceries on my walk home was just insane. We're not fancy here, so we're going for the home brand 33p. Thank you very much. Okay, teacups, I'm outside so I don't need my mask anymore. I'm just gonna head back home. I usually use the walk as like a warm-up cool down before I get to the gym. I just bought the can opener and the crumpets, so I'm not going to do a grocery haul for you when I get back. That's literally all I've got. But for those of you who are asking to see just inside the supermarket, I hope you enjoyed this. I know it's not my usual content. Don't worry, reactions aren't going anywhere. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.